So it's been about a year since I started making videos on YouTube, and first of all I want to say thank you all for joining me on this journey for the first year. It's been a heck of a year, folks, and I did get asked recently what's one of my favorite videos that I got to make of last year, and the first one that immediately popped in my head that I had a blast making was my 3 gaming items that I'm proud to own video that I did. As I was coming back from Dallas from the Sonic fan art meetup that happened last weekend, I thought to myself, why not do it again? Because if there's one thing that I love doing for the channel, is sharing stories, whether it be from my childhood, the present, or somewhere in between. So today, I figured, let's do it one more time. So I'm going to talk about 3 more gaming items that I'm proud to own. I'm G, and welcome to the next level. I always am so thankful for people out there that are looking out for me, whether it be my friends or local shop owners or however, that a lot of times when cool, quirky, and unique Sega stuff will come through, they'll send me a message or they'll call me and say, hey, is this something you're looking for, G? This just showed up in my shop, G. You might want to come take a look at it. So that brings me to the first game we're talking about. So I'm sitting in the break room at my old job. I used to work at a retail store for 13 years, and I'm just chilling back, you know, eating my sandwich and whatnot, and I get a message from the former manager of one of my local video game shops. And he sends me a message and says, hey G, have you ever heard of a game called Keio Flying Squadron? And I'm like, yes, that's one of my most desired shmups I've ever wanted in my collection. Why do you ask? And so sure enough, you know, I'm still eating and waiting for his response, and he sends me this picture back. And it's like, hey, looky, this is what we got in. And I'm just like, I literally almost fell out of my chair. Keio Flying Squadron, they came in and I asked him, okay, I know I most likely can't afford it, but how much is it? And he told me the price, and I was just like, okay, how am I gonna make this work? Because I certainly couldn't put down the cash for it. So I talked to him and just like, hey, give me a couple of days if you can, so I can kind of gather up things to trade. Because I had never seen a copy of Keio Flying Squadron ever, locally. And so I went home and I talked to my wife about it, and she was okay with everything. And I started to gather up things up, and sure enough, I gathered up about 2 or 3 big boxes full of games to bring in. And I was just like, I was sending him messages, okay, I'm bringing this, and he's just like, oh, dude, that's a lot of stuff. I went to the shop to go make my trade, and sure enough, about an hour later, I did all of my trades, and I walked out with Keio Flying Squadron. And man, just that, you ever have that moment where you finally get something that you've been looking for so long, and especially a game that you had never played, because remember, I never had a Sega CD growing up. You're kind of beside yourself for a moment. And so, yeah, I got it, and not only that, I kind of overshot my trade credit, so I managed to pick up a copy of Android Assault for Sega CD and Flashback for Sega CD as well. It was a big Sega CD trade. After hanging out with my friends that day, I immediately took it home and I fired it up, and I was just like, man, this was so worth it. No regrets. So the story behind Keio Flying Squadron is basically, you're a bunny girl named Rabbie who rides atop of her flying dragon Spot, and they're taking down a raccoon militia. And it's quirky, it's Japanese, it's crazy, it's beautiful, it has an outstanding soundtrack, but you know what, I'm not going to go too terribly in depth about my thoughts on this game, because you know what, I'm going to save that for another time. But yeah, the game is in pristine condition. I mean, we're talking mint. There's a reason why I have a box protector on it. But yeah, we're talking mint condition, and I am so incredibly grateful, I am so incredibly proud to finally have Keio Flying Squadron. And to the person who helped me get this, I know you're out there watching, and so, you know, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. And give it up to those who actually are out there looking out for fellow collectors like me and fellow gamers like me, and just, I cannot thank you enough. Thank you. So the next item we're going to talk about today, I'm going to turn the clock back some, because now we're going to go back to the 8-bit days. So when I was a kid, my parents were real supportive of me playing video games. As long as I was a good kid, and as long as I made good grades, and I went outside and I played, they were cool with me playing video games. My mom always used to watch me play games, but my dad, he was never really all that big into video games. He was more of a sports kind of guy. And while I played Little League and I played golf, he was more of a sports kind of guy. But when you get a game that we could share together, that's when it holds close to my heart. And that's why this Bases Loaded 3, starring Ronnie Sandberg for the NES, holds a very special place in my heart because this was one of the few games on the NES, right next to Road Blasters and Super Off-Road and a few other games that we used to play together, that my dad and I worked together to go against the computer. So the story about Bases Loaded 3 is that you're on the quest to play the perfect game. Can you beat Ronnie Sandberg? The perfect game is that you start off with a score of 100 and the game grades you depending on whether you make cool plays or whether you make errors. If you make errors, you lose points. Whether you drop a fly ball, strike out, get picked off, or get caught stealing, those sort of things they'll detract points from, and you'll see it at the very end result of the game. Provided you win, of course, you move on to the next round. And of course you get bonus points for doing cool things such as making a diving catch, doing a double play, pitching a no-hitter, and the game will get you bonus points on top of that. And at the very end, can you make the perfect game? And each game gets more and more challenging than the last. But the sad thing is that when my dad and I used to play together, we never got the perfect game. And still to this day, I still can't get the perfect game on this. I don't know what it is about it. Maybe it's nerves, maybe it's just, you know, get good, maybe it's that sort of thing. But I've never gotten a chance to get a perfect game. And so I hope to someday catch this on video that I can actually get the perfect game of this, and I would devote it to my dad. And I devote owning this game in my collection to my dad. Thank you so much once again. And yeah, a very special place in my heart. So in the last 3 gaming items I'm proud to own video, the last item that I talk about was a Christmas gift that my wife gave to me. It was Magic Knight Rayearth on the Saturn, which once again, I still can't thank her enough for. So what did she do the following year? Well, she got me an even greater item, sentimentally. And it's an even greater item. So, I'm going to cheat a little bit on this last item because it's not just one. I thought it was one, but it wound up being a box full of themed items. And of course, it's Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. So, I remember us talking before that one of the items that I was really looking forward to get in my Sonic collection were the 3 golden books. There was a collection of special edition Sonic the Hedgehog tie-in golden books that they made, and they came out later when I was a teenager, so it wasn't really like I was actively trying to find those books when they came out. So she managed to find a seller on Etsy that went out of their way to get a bunch of Sonic stuff, and this was the first 3. These are the 3 golden book adventure books for Sonic the Hedgehog. And they're all based off of Sonic the Hedgehog 1, which is Sonic Shoes Blues, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, which is The Secret Admirer, and Sonic the Hedgehog 3, which is Up Against the Wall. And all 3 of these books, they're cute little children's stories. One of them tells the story of how Sonic got his red shoes, Natch. And again, it just harkens me back to the original Archie comic run, when it was just, you know, they were one and dones, they were just more comic. And rather than this overlaying story. Not to say anything against the huge overlaying story that the Sonic comic and the IDW Sonic comic, which I will gladly talk about later because it's awesome, but it still harkens back to the carefree days of the original Sonic comic, and these are awesome. But that's not all. So digging deeper into this box, the next one that came with it is the Sonic the Hedgehog short story book. So what's cool about this one is that it's a short story book. It's a little tiny graphic novel that talks about, you know, how Robotnik came to rule the planet, how Sonic met Sally, and how he got his red sneakers. Again, because you can't tell that story enough times, right? But one of the cool things that really sticks out to me is the art that's in between. I noticed that in this story, a lot of it is centered around Uncle Chuck. But there's one picture in particular that kind of stuck out to me, and that's this one right here. And you know, I don't fully remember if they mentioned this in the Saturday morning cartoon or not, but when Robotnik, or Eggman, whatever you want to call him, and Robotnik got his mustache, and half the art on this he doesn't have the mustache, and half of it he does. But yeah, it actually tells all of those stories and even more, so that's pretty cool. And then the next one is the activity book. So this activity book is a collection of puzzles, mazes, and activities. There's word searches, there's, you know, find the missing item. One of these is not like the others. There's different tracing items, letter codes, secret codes, ring counters. This is so cool. And as I said in my Sonic collection video, yes, I'm an adult. One of the things that my wife said that we need to do is, hey, see if you can find scans of these online, and we're gonna do them together. Yeah, that's definitely happening. So the last piece in this collection that my wife gave me, it's a so I have a question for you all. Who was a fan of Where's Waldo when you were a kid? Now, I know I was. So when other companies came out with their own sort of like look and find books, everybody had to have a piece of that pie, including Sonic the Hedgehog. This is awesome. This is Sonic the Hedgehog Look and Find book. This is so great because, again, it's just like any other Look and Find book where not only do you have to find Sonic, which he appears in multiple times in every page, but it'll give you a list of things that you have to find, and there are different areas that you have to find them in, such as Robotropolis Zone. I know it's kind of weird looking at the back of this book too, because you see the art from the top and when you can clearly see that that's Sonic and Sally from the Freedom Fighters, but then if you look at the bottom, there's Snively and the SWAT bots, but that Robotnik is actually the Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog Robotnik, so it's a little inconsistency, but I still think that this is awesome. And another thing that I would love to do, but I can't, you know, that's one of those things that once you have this, is like I can't harken that mark through and try to find it myself. But, you know, maybe this is something that, you know, if I have a kid someday, maybe this is something that they would actually like to do. But I find that this is awesome. And then to top it off, she even left the packaging that the Etsy artist sent to me. So this was on the outside of the package. And a little advert for their Etsy shop. Once again, this is adorable. I love it. So thank you once again to my wife for this incredible box of Sonic stuff. And thank you to Surreal, who was the Etsy seller on this. So it's like, thank you once again. This is awesome and way past cool. So yeah, those are 3 more gaming items that I am proud to own, and once again I had a blast making this video, and I'd love to tell even more stories. So if you'd like to see more of videos like this, please let me know. But this is normally the part where I would say, hey, are there any items that you're proud of owning? And please leave a comment and talk to me and let me know. But you want to know what? I want you to go one step further on this. Make a video similar to this. It's like, let me know what are some gaming items that you are very much proud to own, and tag me, whether it be on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, anywhere, because I would love to see some of your collection, some things that you're fond of and most proud of. Or, you know, if you'd like, you can leave a comment too. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please consider giving it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't yet, and you can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and now Discord at G to the Next Level. And as always, peeps, keep on gaming and keep being awesome. I'm G, and I'll see you on the next level.